What is up, fight fans? I am Jason Burgos for Sportsnot.com, and I have the pleasure of being joined by a true MMA legend who is also one of the leads in the Tubi app exclusive film Lord of the Streets. The movie premiered on April 22nd. It also features fellow UFC legend Anderson Silva, Bellator star AJ McKee, Anthony Tretch Chris, and the UFC star Khalil Roundtree. That man I speak of is the one-time UFC light heavyweight champion. He's the one and only Quinton Rampage Jackson. Senor Rampage, thank you so much for the time today.
No, thanks for having me, brother.
So first, let's talk about your role in this film. You play the character Kane, the Lord of the Streets. You see a lot of actors that when they're working on a role, they are influenced by other performances. Your performance had like a little bit of a James Bond villain with one scene with some good-looking ladies and a dog, a little bit of kind of like Kingpin from Marvel Comics, even a little Frank Wallace from American Gangster. Did you have any influences for your performance of this character, be it from movies or maybe just encountering some real-life gangsters in real life?
Well, you know what? When I first read the script, it kind of reminded me of Nino Brown mixed with Suge Knight.
Yep, okay.
So that's, I wanted to play it like that, but without copying off of anybody,
Yeah. It's been said many times that playing a bad guy can be fun. Did you enjoy getting to play this sort of a powerful, while a little bit crazy kind of character compared to the stuff you've done in previous roles?
Oh, it was very fun. It was very fun playing the bad guy. Yeah, I didn't expect to have so much fun. It was a lot of fun.
Do you get, because you'll more than ever, especially with someone that's got experience like you have now, that you get like kind of a little bit of leeway to kind of riff a little bit and maybe alter lines and maybe add more flavor for yourself than maybe what's on the page? Did you get that chance to kind of make it your own and adjust lines while filming?
Well, the director, I think Jared wrote it as well, and he told us we can make it our own. So I felt like he did a great job. So I only changed like a few words that made it sound like something I would say. But other than that, I didn't have to change much.
One of the fascinating parts of this movie is legendary UFC middleweight Anderson Silva is pretty much like your top henchman, and he's absolutely crazy. He's buck wild in this movie. Did being surrounded by him, a lot of MMA veterans, a lot of MMA fighters like your friend Czech Congo, who's also in the film, and being surrounded by these people you've encountered and know throughout your life, did it add any kind of extra comfort in making the movies, or you've been doing this long enough that you are completely comfortable in filming whatever situation, even if it's not MMA related?
Well, honestly, this was the first movie that I've done in a while. I think the last time I did a movie was with Joe Carnahan, and it was called that one was called Boss Level. I just had a little small part in that movie, and I really didn't have to say much. But so this was a lot of dialogue, so I was kind of nervous at first. But yeah, when all the guys came around, we just had a good time. It was, big boys club.
Now, I mean, you had, I noticed that now, unless IMDb for you is wrong, it seems like you have a few things, fires in the coals and stuff coming up. I mean, definitely correct me if I'm wrong. If you do have some stuff you're working on the way that's coming in the next year or two or whatever, talk to me about maybe what you might be working on that's interesting for you.
Oh, the movie I did right after Lord of the Streets is called Mojave Diamonds. I'm not sure when that one drops, but I did that one with Cowboy and Chael Sonnen.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was great working with those guys. Even though it's kind of weird, Chael Sonnen and we fought in real life, and we had like a fight scene against each other, and he hit me over the head with with a glass bottle, and and it was movie glass, but I kind of think he swung that bottle a little bit harder than he was supposed to. And I was kind of scratched up for a couple of days,
oh, wow.
bleeding a little bit. So, I kind of got upset with him about that. But thank God, we didn't break out into a real fight.
Is this, would you say, you're just getting, now that you're kind of getting back into stuff and being active again, is this the focus now? Do you just want to mainly focus on this kind of life and doing movies and entertainment, or is the door still open for you to get back into fighting?
The door's still open for me to get back into fighting. I'm just trying to get back into shape first. That's taking longer than expected. But I like movies. I like fighting. I like them both.
You recently had a unique role with Triad Combat as a coach for their first event. There certainly seemed to be the obvious kind of hints of a possible fight between you and Shannon Briggs, but I actually wanted to ask about Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, which is now under the Triller umbrella. They're giving up some pretty good contracts and stuff like that for this unique style of boxing. If they came to you with a pretty good offer, would you be at all interested in Bare Knuckle, or you'd probably rather stay in boxing?
I don't think I'd be interested in bare knuckle because quite honestly, I've had problems with my fists in the past, and a couple of injuries and stuff, and I've heard bad things about bare knuckles. Most people break their fists and you get scarred for life, and I don't think it's if it's worth it. But somebody offered me like an offer that I can't refuse. Never say never, but that I don't think they're willing to offer me what I'm willing to take to do a bare knuckle fight.
Speaking of offers and things of that such, Paul Brothers, Triad Combat, they've been a part of this kind of, blending of MMA versus boxers and taking it to a whole nother level in whatever combat sport, mostly boxing related stuff. But there's this boxing legend named Mike Tyson that seems open to doing exhibition fights. He's also a big fan of MMA for a long time. I think it would make sense, but would you like to see your name thrown into conversations with a fight like a Mike Tyson? I think Rampage versus Mike Tyson makes a ton of sense.
I would love to. He's like my childhood hero. I would love to do an exhibition versus Mike Tyson.
You made headlines by giving your honest opinion on the AJ McKee loss to Pitbull. I also thought AJ won, but bad judging, like really questionable referee work, has been a problem now, and it's been a problem for a long time in MMA. For me, I feel like like the sport almost needs to just be federalized, for at least to have some kind of consistency instead of the states kind of being left to their own devices. Like, considering your long experience doing this for so long time, do you think there's any real way to kind of deal with the inconsistencies and maybe underqualified people that are sometimes judging and reffing fights?
You know what? Sometimes I was kind of thinking about maybe they should have like retired fighters be judges. Like sometimes they got retired fighters doing referees. Oh, excuse me. And somebody brought to my attention like, well, that might not be a good idea just because of what if a fighter has ties, retired fighter has ties to somebody that's fighting, then like right. Ethics should come in and they shouldn't be able to judge that fight. But from my experience, like from paying attention to judge, like even like on Ultimate Fighter, there was one judge, I'm not going to say her name, but she always had her kid there. And I'd be watching her and she'd be like tending to her kid while the fight going on, not paying attention to the fight. So I'm like, what are those judges doing while the fight? Like, and some of those judges, I don't think they ever had a fight before in their life.
Yep.
But I felt like I was robbed out of my belt when I fought Forrest Griffin back in the day, and I haven't been very voiceless about it. But I feel like you have to beat the champion to be the champion. And with AJ McKee, him being undefeated, and I think Pitbull did a great job, but I just don't think he did enough to take the belt from the champion, right? So saying that, I don't know what the judges are thinking. Like this people legacies, that's their championships. Like they should really consider, really paying attention and doing a good job and keep that in mind when it's a championship fight.
Yeah. You
got to think like I think boxing, even though they have bad decisions over there as well, but they've been around longer than us. They do a better job. Like that's where it come from. You have to beat the champ to be the champ, and so it leaves a bad taste in your mouth when something like that happens.
And that idea you brought up, I mean, there have been a few fighters like Ricardo Almeida got into judging. I know Joe Stevens I talked to recently. He's kind of going to get into judging too and stuff like that. And there's always a thing where it seems tough for fighters to unionize, but is that kind of something maybe fighters need to unite on and just like if you want to fix the sport for the future and for the now, when we're done, we just need to make a concerted effort to work together so we can get into judging, getting to reffing, because there could be bias, but that's part of the job. You got to be unbiased, and these are the people that know it best.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they do that, have some type of honor system. If the judge has any history with one of the fighters, just let somebody else judge that fight.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that's a good idea that fighters get in there and judge, because they understand. They know fighting. They've been in there. Like a lot of these judges, I don't think they ever fought. Like how are they qualified to be a judge?
Yeah, and I don't even think they've done like a jujitsu class or a boxing class or whatever too. So, but going back to Mike Tyson, big story last week was him beating the crap out of a heckler that pissed him off on a flight. Have you encountered that a lot during your career? Did you have to hold back often on slamming somebody at times that were being a fool in your career, or back in the day before camera phones were every day? Maybe you did slam a few fools.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. Like a lot of weird things that has happened to me in my lifetime, and what people don't understand is that we're humans too. Like we have like bad days. Like when I'm having a real bad day, I try to stay at home because I didn't name myself Rampage. You know, I'm the nicest guy in the world, but I will lose my temper and I can't control it. So who knows what Mike Tyson was going through that day? And I've met Mike Tyson before. He's like super nice guy, super chill. And for him to do that, that guy really had to been bothering him. Like for me, the other day, I was in Hawaii, minding my own business, trying to eat. Some guy come up and he was trying to be nice and tell me he's a big fan, but he slapped me on my back kind of hard. You know how people tap me in the back, and I just gave him a look, and he knew he messed up right then and there. You know what I'm saying? But that's one of my pet peeves. You know, had I been in a bad mood, who knows? I would have said something. I would have cussed him out if you would have got voice with me. Or had the same situation. But people don't understand, like we are human too, and we have bad days. Like if somebody want to heckle me on the airplane, I hate flying and I hate going through the whole process. So you know, what I'm saying, if Mike Tyson put his hands on that guy, you know, he had to been pretty bad. I heard the guy was drunk, belligerent, and you know, say he just wasn't a good guy. You know, me personally, I would have it in the back of my mind, like, oh, this guy's trying to get me to beat him up so he can sue me. So I probably wouldn't have done it because of how I was raised, you know what I'm saying, how my mind was trained, how people think. Because I've had people like stick their feet out so I could step on their feet before, and I had people, a lot of weird stuff happening with people trying to get a reaction out of you. So I try not to let people win.
Is that one of the hardest parts of fame? Yeah, there's all these things you dealt with, contract negotiations, all called fight booking. But is that part of maybe the hardest thing about becoming famous? Like these people that, in a way, maybe out to get you. You know, just trying to steal your wealth from bullshit like that.
Yeah, you know, I've been sued before, you know, a couple times, and yeah, it's just, you know, some people just shady, and people think like the guy like, oh, I'll take a beating for Mike Tyson. You know, I get some internet fame and possibly sue him. You never know what you know. I don't know if that guy's pressed charge. I don't know if he's going down in it, but that would have been my first thought. Like, this guy just fuck with me so I can sue him. But and my question is, what was people doing on the airplane that just why wasn't there no stewardess or no one there to stop that guy from bothering you know saying Mike Tyson? You know, like people, you know, look at us different. Like, we're humans at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? We have feelings. Sometimes, you know, people need to protect us as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, last question, going back to your friend Czech Congo, he fights in his first major MMA event in France against Ryan Bader, I think next month. He's had a really weird road in Bellator, and I've talked to him in the past about it, where he was deserving of a title fight for a long time, didn't get it. Deserved the rematch after the craziness of the Bader fight, took a long time to get that. Plus, he wasn't even in the heavyweight Grand Prix, which made no sense at the time. Why do you think, even outside the UFC, like Czech Congo still is underappreciated and really even doesn't get the respect he deserves, even in Bellator?
No, I have no idea. I don't know if it's his quiet demeanor. You know what I'm saying? He don't speak up, you know how some fighters are outgoing, and Congo is very humble. He's like one of the nicest guys. So if you don't like Congo, something's wrong with you, honestly. You know what I'm saying? I have no idea. I have no idea why it's that way, but I don't think I can probably see is because he don't speak up. He's not very boisterous about anything because, you know, he don't play those I want to be famous games. I want this, that. He don't play those games.
And is that kind of the wrong thing? I mean, you'll see athletes kind of maybe like a Debo Samuel complaining about that he wants a contract even though he's still in one. But still, is that really the only way for athletes to kind of get what they need. Unfortunately, like there's not enough on the promotion on the team side that you kind of need to get upset and to to kind of get fairness sometimes, unfortunately, and then get a bad rap about they're always complaining, whatnot.
First of all, you can't worry about what other people think, but at the end of the day, look at fighters like Conor McGregor. Is he the best fighter in the UFC? No, but is he the best at talking shit and getting what he want? You got to talk himself into getting what he want. What I'm saying? He's not a bad fighter, but he's not the best. Look at Chael Sonnen. The guy's, is he the best fighter? No, but he's really good at talking and getting what he want. He talked himself into getting a couple of champion fights in the UFC and stuff like that. So it is bad that Congo don't really like speak up and do interviews and be very boisterous and exciting outside the cage. He's a very exciting fighter inside the cage, but it's the way it goes.